Howdy folks, welcome back to War Thunder with the mighty Jingles. That is the new Japanese heavy fighter, the Ki-45. I thought I'd give it a run out and see what it's like in, well, this is an arcade battle, it's a ground strike mission. This thing's got a really nice roll rate. And the first thing that struck me was just how manoeuvrable this thing was. I suspect it does not have its proper flight model yet. New aircraft that are introduced in the War Thunder rarely have the proper flight model when they're first introduced. This thing's nearest competitor's not the right word. The nearest example of what this thing is like that's currently in the game would probably be the the BF-110. Twin-engine heavy fighter armed with cannons. And while this thing is not as well armed as the BF-110, I think this is an all-round better plane at the moment because it doesn't fly like a twin-engined heavy fighter. I've flown single-engined rank 4 fighters that don't fly the way this thing does. Kitty Hawk, for example, which I love, but it's a pig of a plane to fly. It's a real problem getting that gun and the nose of the aircraft on the target that you're shooting at. Doesn't really seem to be the problem in this thing, to the same degree that it is in the BF-110, which you could understand because this is also a twin-engined heavy fighter. But I find that this thing points the gun at the target and keeps it pointed where you want it to go better than an aircraft like the Kitty Hawk. Which leads me to suspect that this is not the finished flight model. It shouldn't be able to outfly a fighter, a single-engined fighter. And I would, based on the way this thing flies at the moment, yeah, I would take this thing up against a Kitty Hawk. Yeah, no problem. They're both rank 4. Although, well, you got what? One of these things at rank 4, 5, 6 and 7. But still, the point is there. Now, I'm on the tail of this SB-2M, and these things fly like biplanes, and they're made of hardened Sovietidium, so I'm expecting to have to go through quite a few reloads before I put this thing down. But, very impressed with the way this thing flies. But, as I said, I'll be stunned if this is the finished flight model for the thing. Because it outflies and outperforms single-engine fighters. It's fast. I mean, it's equivalent Spitfire speed. It's well armed, but it doesn't have a lot of ammunition for its guns. That's probably its Achilles heel. I mean, I've been in this sort of situation in bow fighters, BF-110s, and SB-2Ms fly rings around you. That is not the case with this thing. Bow fighters as well. Ferociously well armed, but getting those guns pointed at the target is the bow fighter's biggest problem. It's not the case in this thing. It definitely does not feel like you're flying a twin-engine heavy fighter. Next victim. Now he's fast, but I'm doing over 400 kph. This thing's also pretty darn quick. Oh, that was dangerous. I've taken out pursuing fighters like that in a bomber. Get low, drop your bombs, and watch them fly into the explosions of the bombs hitting the ground. And you see that Spitfire? Totally 100% my fault. Wasn't watching where I was going. Spitfire was in front of me. He had no idea I was coming up behind him. It's not up to him to get out of the way. So there's a Jingles derp moment as I kill myself and, unfortunately, take out an ally as well. Inexcusable. 100% my fault. Spitfire pilot, if you're watching, sorry about that. There's nothing you could have done. But the good thing about these little Ki-45s is there are lots of them. There are 4 of them that you can fly. Don't all have the same armament though. This is the next one up. And while on paper the armament is very similar, it's the same mix of machine guns and cannons. The cannon on this one fires a lot faster. The 20mm cannon on the previous one, it was kind of like flying the Aerocobra. With the 37, everybody says, oh, nobody says the Aerocobras are overpowered. They've got a 37mm cannon as well. Yeah, but the 37mm cannon on the Aerocobra fires 1 shot a week. The one on the Yak-9T fires 15 shots a second. Yes, I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean. There you go. That's a good rate of fire. Because it doesn't carry much ammo. So it will run through that ammunition very quickly. Oh, watch out. 2 Ki-45s. Fighting for the kill. Need to watch out, don't want to shoot this guy. And there's an assist. An assist will do. Who's next? Right, Ju-88 is fast. Ju-88 was a combination medium and dive bomber. This thing could build up some speed in a dive. But the Ki-45 isn't particularly slow either. Took out his tail. Another assist, unfortunately. I mean, the guy was in a shallow dive and I took out his elevator, so there was no way he was going to be able to pull up. He would have died. I would have got the kill, but yeah, there were at least 3 of us on him. So another assist will do. Oh, Sturmovik. Right. Oh, God. If you thought shooting SB-2Ms was hard work, Sturmoviks. But there's enough of us on him. Yep, he's gone down as well. Another assist. Who's next? And look at how I'm throwing this thing around. Does this thing really look like it's flying like any heavy fighter you know? Definitely not the finished damage model. Damage model? Definitely not the finished flight model. It can't be. Oh, no, maybe it is. Maybe the Japanese built the world's most agile and manoeuvrable heavy fighter. It was so good that, well, I'd never heard of it. But then again, I've done it before. LA5 and the LA7, I'd never heard of them, but apparently they were amazing. Gaijin have actually just published... You've got to respect them for trying to be as transparent as possible to their players, because they've just published the data sheets of the Focke-Wulf 190 D13 and the LA5 FN. So you can see the exact flight characteristics of those aircraft as modelled in game, and they've even quoted the sources of where they, the information on which they have based those flight characteristics. And there are not a lot of companies out there that go to that kind of effort to reassure their players. So all those of us who were, and I count myself amongst them, who were whining like little bitches about the LA5 and the Focke-Wulf Dora, the information is now online. In fact, I'll put a link in the video description, and you can see the exact flight data sheets for those 2 aircraft. And I don't really have a problem with aircraft behaving realistically. I do not believe this thing is behaving realistically, but it's just been introduced. I wouldn't expect it to be accurately modelled yet. This game is still in beta after all. And if the Focke-Wulf D13 and the LA5, for example, are performing as they are supposed to, as the real aircraft did, then yeah, fine. It then just becomes a question of what you're going to rank them against in order to provide a fair fight. And that's always been another one of my, I'm not going to say problems, but issues with War Thunder. Because you've got, oh, another assist. You've got British and American aircraft from 1941 to 1943 being matched against Russian and German aircraft from 1943 to 1945. And surely that can't be fair. Well, it depends who you ask. Some of these British and American aircraft were very, very, very good. They were better than their contemporaries. And that's why they're being matched against aircraft that were developed later in the war. And yeah, that makes sense. Can't really argue with that. You have to balance the game somehow. It's kind of like people complaining in World of Tanks that the Tiger gets matched again. Oh, crap. Yeah, that was just as much my fault as the other guy. So there's 2 Jingles derp moments in for the price of 1 video. And yeah, and it's like people complaining in World of Tanks that the Tiger doesn't get matched against Shermans and Cromwells, you know, the kind of tanks that it basically slaughtered. Well, that's why it doesn't get matched against those tanks, because it slaughtered them, and it wouldn't be fun for anybody unless you were the one driving the Tiger. So, yeah. Makes sense to me. So yeah, we failed. They bombed all our ground targets. But I got the on-hand award. And considering these are rank 4, 5 aircraft, a healthy amount of credits as well. Yeah, that will do. I mean, the repairs for these aircraft are not going to cost more than a couple of hundred. So a 10,000 credit reward is adequate, you know, adequate compensation. Even though we failed the mission. That's yeah, that'll do. So there it is. Japanese Ki-45 heavy fighter. Fun, very capable aircraft. Almost certainly doesn't have the correct flight model yet. So enjoy it while you can, because at the moment this thing flies like a single engine fighter. And that's never going to last. So enjoy it while you can. As always, folks, watch your 6, and I'll catch you next time.